yesterday was also the ticket presale for John Cena's final match. Of course, John Cena's final match is taking place in Washington, D.C., and presale tickets went up yesterday. I think the general on sale is tomorrow. But based on the presale numbers, I would not be at all shocked if they were looking into stadiums right now, realizing like, whoa, we might have misjudged the interest on this thing. Apparently, I will tell you this. You go on the internet, and it really is interesting because you go on the internet and you go, oh, these ticket prices. There even sometimes you turn on the radio, you hear people talking about it. Oh, these ticket prices, they're going to price fans out. They're going to price fans out. And then all of a sudden, you look at the pre-sale for John Cena's retirement match, Saturday night's main event, no matches announced. John Cena's retirement match, what it's going to be, has not been announced. Just the fact that it's happening. And there were close to 60,000 fans in the queue. 60,000 people waiting just for the pre-sale. And so, of course, the vast majority of them did not get tickets yesterday, and we'll try again to get tickets on Friday. But what was available sold out quickly. I don't know if they do it with WWE. I know with some other events, Ticketmaster does that dynamic ticket pricing where, as stuff gets, as demand goes up, so does price or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, you wonder if it's too late because this is only it's in 2 months. You wonder if they do find a stadium. I mean, if they did, they would have to find it in the area, I would imagine, because you don't want to have fans buying tickets and then put it in a stadium that they can't get to. But I guess it wouldn't be surprised unless they're just going to pack this stadium full. I mean, this arena full, and it's just going to be people going nuts for this moment. It said, as of now, there are no tickets cheaper than $200 available on the secondary market. But I mean, you know what? When you look at the market for tickets in general, for concert tickets, for football tickets, for any of these big events, the idea of $200 to get into the arena, not stadium, arena, to see John Cena's last match, it's not crazy. $200. Like, it's not like, listen, $200 is a lot of money, but generally speaking, especially for events like this, there are a lot of people, somebody like myself included, that might just want to get in the building, might just want to be able to be there. This is history. You want to be there. You want to get the t-shirt. You want to be around fans as it's happening. And, I would probably drop $200 just to be able to say that I was in the building when it happened. Now look, when you realize that the demand is this, and of course we knew that it was going to be a massive ticket, but I mean, almost 60,000 people online waiting on the online queue at one point. Like, that's so many more. It's like triple what the arena even holds. And that's just for people, individuals, waiting in line for the pre-sale. So that's not even indicative of how many people are interested in actually getting tickets. I think that you have to look at that and go, okay, that is dictating. If you didn't already have an idea of what you were doing, that's kind of dictating what this show should be. I think, to me, that's the most interesting thing, because it's not shocking to me. I think, like, people go, well, when are ticket prices going to lower? I think ticket prices are going to lower when tickets aren't purchased in those big numbers. But as long as, that is kind of, and that's across the board, how value is set for event tickets is how much are people willing to pay? That's how much they'll be. And that's the same. Anybody that goes to concerts regularly, that's the way it's been for a long time. It's not great news. I would love it if I could get into big events for $38. It'd be awesome. But guess what? If you could, all those $38 tickets would get scooped up and they'd be on the secondary market that a scalper would be selling for $200. Like, which way do you want to do it? You know what I mean? Do you want to do it to a scalper, or do you want to do it straight up? But it's not surprising to me that a ton of people are interested in going to this show, and that this is going to end up being one of the bigger shows of the year. You're going to have your WrestleMania, you're going to have your SummerSlam, but for WWE, the John Cena last match show, it also, by the way, speaks a lot to the fact that, you don't see it. It's really funny, right? Because after WrestleMania, I can't believe they fumbled the Cena retirement. And you're like, it's April. What do you mean fumble? How can you fumble when we haven't had the opportunity to fumble yet? You don't know if it's fumbled until the play is over. It could be a fumble, but it's still in play. So we're not done yet, right? And then the next accusations of fumbling, I don't know when the one after that was, but pretty quick, when Cena just kind of turned babyface and we got the Cody match at SummerSlam, you were like, oh. And then there was another accusation of fumbling when Brock Lesnar beat John Cena, beat him to oblivion at WrestlePalooza, and you go, they fumbled it. I can't believe they fumbled it. You're reading it all over. And then all of a sudden we see this AJ Styles match, and you're not seeing anything about fumbling anymore. It's so reactive to the matches that are happening. But I will say that if the John Cena retirement had been truly fumbled, would there be this kind of demand to see the last match? If it really, to fumble the John Cena retirement tour to make it so that it wasn't as special as it should be. That would be a fumbling of it. That at the end of the thing, the specialness of John Cena leaving has been taken away. And I would argue, and I would say that the metrics that I would use to prop up my argument would be the amount of people trying to get tickets just on the pre-sale alone. I would argue that indicates that clearly interest in seeing John Cena's last match is at an all-time high, which would lead me to believe that is not the result of a fumble in any way, shape, or form. It's one thing to say you don't like this match, you don't like this promo, you don't like whatever. But when you look at the big picture, the fact that, this is a show that right now the worst ticket is $200 on the secondary market, and there's 60,000 people waiting for a pre-order, that would tell me that there was not a fumble. That would tell me that maybe it was imperfect. That would tell me that maybe you didn't like every single step on the road. But that would also tell me that that's sometimes what happens when you have a full year to do this. When was the last time you liked every single thing that happened over the course of an entire year? I think that ultimately, especially what we've seen in the Cody match, you could say in the Logan Paul match, you could say in the Sami Zayn match, you could say in the AJ Styles match, that's all stuff that I think nobody realized that they were going to get to that level. And the fact that we are, I think is okay, we're going to get something, clearly, we're going to get something very special for this last match, whatever it is. But I do think instantly, I feel like you have to be reactive to seeing this kind of activity. That even if you had high expectations for what the interest would be in this ticket, that to me, it exceeds the high expectation. And I can only imagine that now that this news, and, positive news kind of begets positivity, negative news begets negativity, meaning I would imagine that the news of the pre-sale doing so well is only going to make more people interested in the actual sale on Friday. And so it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. But that's all to say that now it makes me go, okay, I feel like this has to be the full show. Now should be a celebration of Cena. That when you look at all these people are trying to get tickets, and they're all trying to get tickets based only on the fact that it's John Cena's last match. And so when you do it that way, it makes me go some of us would have said, okay, the John Cena last match should be Take who the heel is and have them beat John Cena, right? Like it's kind of a tried and true thing in wrestling. Take a big heel, have them beat John Cena on John Cena's way out. John Cena goes out on his back. The big heel goes into 2026 on an all-time high, and let's go. And that could be Drew McIntyre. That could be Gunther, which some of the rumors have been. But honestly, when I look at this kind of result, I'm not really sure that's what people want. I'm not, and maybe they will, and you could do it in a way that people would. But would a match like that be better for a Survivor Series? You know what I'm saying? Is this Saturday night's main event a spot that really should just be a celebration of John Cena? Is John Cena the one guy who you want to see go out on top? Is John Cena the one guy who you're buying these tickets not so you can see him put somebody over, but are you buying these tickets just because you want to celebrate John Cena? And if that is the case, maybe it is a matter. Like, should a match like AJ Styles be the last John Cena match, where it really is just truly a feel-good celebration? Because I don't remember the last time I felt as much universal high praise for a match than I have felt for AJ Styles and John Cena. If you've got this many people interested in buying tickets simply under the marquee that it is John Cena's retirement match, do you want a celebratory match like the AJ Styles match to be John's last match? I would say that there's a good argument for yes. And that's why, you start hearing, rumors about people hoping that is Edge going to be available? Is somebody like that going to be available? Listen, I'm just going to say this, okay? I don't even want, it's another thing that I don't want to say out loud. I feel like it opens a can of worms, but I feel like we must address it. There is somebody from John Cena's past who is a legend that people would freak out for that I believe is from Washington, D.C. Batista, I believe, is from Washington, D.C. Am I right, AJ?
Yes, he is.
Batista is from Washington, D.C. I'm just saying. Peacemaker versus Drax. There's a lot of appeal there, isn't there? Look, I'm not, Batista's done. He's lost a lot of the muscle weight. He's one of these great actors now, and he's amazing in all these movies. He said that his match with Triple H at WrestleMania 35 was the perfect send-off. All good. And I know, literally yesterday, we were like, okay, we got The Rock on social media. Now we're talking about The Rock, but this is the fun. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have a million different ideas, right, throughout the next couple of months. Hopefully one of them is right. And then I'll get AJ to pull the clip of the one time that we pitched the idea that actually happened. And then we'll say we called it. And that's how we'll do it. I think that's the best way to do it. But, I'm like, that's the way my mind is going. I'm sitting there, right? And I'm going, you got all these people that want to be there. You have all these people. It doesn't matter that it's not in Boston. It doesn't matter that you don't know who the opponent is. It doesn't matter that you don't know what the story is going into this. None of it matters. Everybody just wants to be there for John Cena's final match, because what this retirement tour has done above anything else is it's created a renewed, I'll say, appreciation for John Cena. That's what the retirement tour has effectively done, and I believe will continue to do over the next 3 appearances before his final appearance on December 13th, is that it renews this appreciation that you have for John Cena. And maybe we partly have that appreciation because we almost didn't get to, and he had to turn back to a babyface. Maybe it's that appreciation because he's having some of the best matches of his career. But whatever it is, a lot of these people are not buying tickets to see John Cena put somebody over. A lot of these people are buying tickets to see John Cena just be celebrated. And, I think there is a world. Now, I don't know how you fill out the rest of that card. I don't know if the rest of the card is standard storyline stuff and then John Cena happens to be in the main event. I don't know if there's a way to kind of make the whole night revolve around John Cena. I don't know, if there's something that you can do on that card that builds to a John Cena match, or something that you can do on the card where the matches have some kind of relevance to John Cena. I also don't know, if you take your main roster guys and they're simply involved in matches to tribute John Cena, I don't think that does a lot for the main roster guys. But, there are things you can do, like, you could have a newer guy versus a more established guy and have this kind of be the telling of the modern day, John Cena and Kurt Angle. Like, what would a John Cena and Kurt Angle look like today? Maybe, like, we go back to maybe like a Javon Evans, Randy Orton, right? And we kind of play on that idea of Cena and Kurt Angle. That could be a comparison that you make. Or you bring in a giant to take on somebody, and it brings it back to that WrestleMania 20 Big Show John Cena. Maybe there are moments in John Cena's career that you can draw a parallel to with other superstars. And these are all superstars that maybe aren't going to get a chance to wrestle John Cena, but because they're going to be on this show and because you can loosely trace whatever the story in their match is to a story in John Cena's career, maybe it does afford them the opportunity to get a little bit of that, John Cena dust on them before John Cena says goodbye. But either way, as we get closer, I do start to feel more and more like, a celebrate. And I don't know how I'll feel when we get right there, right? Because there's a big part of me that is like, you could just have somebody beat John Cena, because then I think about what happens on the next night, what happens on the next week, where do you go from there? And wouldn't you like to have somebody that can come out of that stronger? And there is a way to do it where somebody beats John Cena, and then John Cena is still able to get a standing ovation at the end of the night, and John Cena is still able to cut a promo similar to the way Ric Flair did on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 24 and get as much out of that moment as humanly possible. But, there is also that school of thought that it's like, do you want the legend to go out on a sword, or do you want the legend to go out still the legend? There's something about calling your shot, right? The whole reason that he decided, I'm going to take this year and I'm going to do my retirement tour here, and I'm going to give you an entire year, and then I'm done in the ring. The whole reason for that was that he said he didn't think he could hang anymore. He didn't think he could hang with the modern WWE superstars, and so he's going to get out before it's obvious to everybody. But what that means is he's one of those guys that's not staying too late. He's one of those guys that's staying while it still feels like John Cena, and if that's happening, maybe you leave people with that image. I mean, so much of John Cena's career was Super Cena. So much of John Cena's career was, and then he figures out a way, and then John Cena wins. And it was frustrating at times. And as it was happening, there were guys that you wanted to beat John Cena, but they never did. And maybe this is one of those instances where you now you kind of want to see that again. As frustrating as it was when it first happened, maybe you want to go back and kind of go, I didn't like it when it was happening, but it is what happened. And so I kind of like that that's being celebrated.